Up, folk? I just had to make that clever title. I just thought it was too funny not to use because I was kind of doing a little bit of a writing about my experience with Wretched radio, and I realized just how weird it is. Like it's weird. It's unhealthy to be the kind of person that makes a radio show like that. But I remember being a kid, and every time I was in my dad's Jeep Wrangler, when he was taking me somewhere, he was always playing Wretched radio on the speakers. And it was just always this Todd Friel guy, like, I don't even know how to do his voice. Just this grating voice. His grating voice. So based on what you've told me, you're a lying, blaspheming stealer. Unless you're from Pittsburgh. Adultering, envious sinner who's worthy of hell. Now, what are you going to do about that? And basically that whole radio show is just Todd's spiritual way of telling people that they're pieces of shit. And I think the people that listen to that radio show would be like, well, yeah, they are. No, I'm sorry, that's just not true. You just have a really shitty life. You need to, I don't know why you believe that everyone is a piece of shit, but you really need to take a look at your surroundings and like the people you're around and figure out why you're still around them if you believe such a thing. Because the only reason that you would believe that is if you're just surrounded by shitty people all the time. Or if you had a really shitty childhood and you're just really trying to cope with it. Or you've messed up and made some horrible decisions and hurt a lot of people, and you're just trying to cope with it by saying, oh, well, everybody's bad, you know? No, that's not true, actually. There are people out there who are actually genuinely really good people. And they don't steal. They don't go and kill people and things like that. And even if they did, steal something, it's not just black and white, oh, if you steal something, you're a horrible person. So if I steal bread from the store because I'm homeless and a day away from dying, because God actually hasn't rained manna from the sky, you're telling me that I deserve to go to hell because I stole some bread to feed myself? Even though that's literally what any living organism would do? It's not my fault that I need bread and food to survive. God is the one that designed me like that. Wait, didn't you say that God has plans for my life and he put me here for a reason? Okay, well, I'm here and I'm starving now. So that was the reason for my life? Okay, and I'm not supposed to go get food so that I can live? That was the purpose for my life, was to starve and die? If that's the purpose for my life, then why is my body telling me to stay alive and get food? Oh, blah, 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 because we're all inherently sinners. Oh my God, shut up. And you're like, oh, well, there's always a way to avoid stealing. Okay, well, what if I don't have any identification? Because my identification got lost and I got robbed by other homeless people. And there's not a homeless shelter in my area because I live in a very rural place. Then what? And you're like, oh, well, that's such a specific. That shit is not that. That is not that crazy. That there are definitely hundreds of thousands of people out there with that exact same predicament. But the reason I think that people both produce a radio show like Wretched Radio and why people listen to such a radio show is if they've just chronically been losers. If they've just been losers their whole life. Whether or not they want it to be, they've just been losers their whole life. And basically religion is the only way for them to feel like they get on top, you know? It's their only way to feel like they can one-up somebody. So they can feel like, oh, well, I'm going to heaven and you're going to hell. And unless you follow my exact formula for going to heaven, you're going to go to hell. And if you don't really understand, or if my formula doesn't make sense to you, it's because you're just not one of God's chosen few. You're not you're not in the flock, you know? And, you know, of course Christianity doesn't make sense to you because hopefully Christianity does not make sense to you. Because if it doesn't make sense to you, you're probably a normal person. Because the whole story, in fact, does not make sense. Because it's not, like, why would you expect it to make sense? It was written by people in a time where the vast majority of people were illiterate, like 2,000 plus years ago, in a time where people loved folk stories more than anything, when people loved making up stories more than anything. I mean, people still love doing that. But, like, you got these people just writing all these books for funsies, telling these crazy stories, just like all the other religions were doing at the same time. You know, some of those religions made it to today, some of them didn't. You know, Christianity was one of the lucky ones that just happened to survive because it got picked up by people like Christopher Columbus, while, you know, another religion might not have gotten picked up by Columbus and spread it to the whole Western world. It's like it's just nonsense. It's not real. None of this is real. But it feels good to feel like you're right. It feels good to feel like you have God on your side. And, oh my God. My dad would play Wretched radio like at full volume in the car because my dad was like half deaf from flying C-130s in the United States Air Force. So I got that shit just blasting straight into my cranium. This dude doing the good person test on people and, you know, praying with people, like wrestling with their souls. And, you know, even if Todd Friel couldn't get through to him, or even if the devil had a hold on him, at least they planted a seed, you know? At least they planted a seed. And I think it's funny because, you know, in a radio show like that, you can like, it's not a live show, you know? Like, you can just pick and choose the interviews that you're going to blast over the air. So if there's someone that Todd Friel interviews, or Trish Fish, whatever her name was, or Ray Comfort, if one of those people that they interview actually claps back at them with facts and logical reasoning, then they can just not air that ever. You know, they don't have any, there's no incentive for them to do that at all. Like, if people listening to Todd Friel's Wretched radio show heard people who legitimately had good arguments against Todd Friel's statements, and that's going to just inspire doubt, and that's going to make people not want to listen to the Wretched radio show, which is going to come out of, you know, it's going to, I mean, of course it's going to take money out of Todd Friel's pocket, but it's also going to shatter his reality. It's going to shatter his whole belief system, and that's not really very fun. It's not very fun at first. At first, it's not a ton of fun because it's scary. But knowing the truth is fun. It is fun to know the truth. And it's funny because I say funny, but it really is scary that people who are wrong fully believe they are right, just as much as people who are actually right believe that they are right. Like, imagine people who have been indoctrinated their whole lives into believing that 2 + 2 = 5. They're going to believe they're right just as much as someone who believes 2 + 2 = 4 is going to believe they're right. But actually, I would actually say that people who are wrong believe that they're right more than right people believe they're right. Like, I'm actually perfectly convinced. I'm perfectly fine with being convinced that 2 + 2 does not equal 4. Like, I would love to be proven wrong. And the thing is, you'll hear Christians say that same thing, but they don't actually mean it. They don't actually want to be proven wrong. They just want to listen to your argument up to a certain point. And then it's like, oh wait, no, my brain is actually starting to have to start thinking. So let's actually halt the argument there. They're just not going to listen to your line of reasoning. Like they would love to hear why they might be wrong, just so as long as you'll bend the knee to them first. It's like, no, let's just sit here together or stand here together and just discuss things without you like getting extremely emotional and like defensive and like without accusing me of being a sinner and stuff like that. It's just fucking annoying. Like, I don't think I could actually do a debate like that. Like, I respect people who are atheists. Not even, I hate the word atheist because it's kind of like I'm going off the rails again, but calling myself an atheist is kind of like calling myself a non-drug addict. Like if I were to just walk around identifying, oh, what is your like preferences in life? Oh, well, I'm white, I'm a male, I'm a non-drug addict. It's like, why should I even have to say that I'm a non-drug addict? Like that just means that I'm normal, So I feel like I shouldn't have to say that I'm an atheist. Like, no, I'm just normal. So it seems weird that atheist is even a word, because the only reason I would have to say that I'm not a drug addict or I'm a non-drug addict is if there's a fucking lot of people who are drug addicts. And so then the word, the terminology just is basically created for me. Like I didn't ever set out to just I didn't set out to be a crusader against drug addiction or anything like that. I was just being normal. And now all of a sudden I have this label that I'm a non-drug addict. And like I was just living life, but now I'm a part of this like separate group from the majority or something just because I was living a normal life and these people are all fucking crazy. And that's how it is with being an atheist. It's like, oh, you guys just created this word for me? It's like you're in this club with all your religious fanatical friends and you're like, oh, everyone that's not in our group, they're the atheists. And like all the people on the outside are just chilling, living their lives. Don't even really know about this word. And it's just a word that's been created only because these religious people are religious. So I just had to put that out there. Because it's kind of ridiculous that the word even exists and I have to use it. I don't really want to use it. I just want to say that I'm normal. Like whenever we talk about drug addiction, we don't have to first introduce ourselves as a non-drug addict, because it's well understood that not being a drug addict is just normal. You're just a healthy, normal person. So I shouldn't have to go into any discussions about religion and shit by first giving a disclaimer that I'm an atheist or something. Like, oh, from an atheist perspective, no, just from a normal person's perspective. Just I'm normal. But anyways, I really do respect atheists who do those debates with Christians and religious people because it really is pointless. If you're actually a open-minded, reasonable person, you're not going to get to the point where you're on national television debating someone about Christianity. But I guess that goes both ways. But anyways, I mean, yeah, it's just, all that I'm saying is I don't think I could ever really argue with someone about Christianity because it's such a ridiculous argument. It really would be like trying to convince a drug addict that they're a drug addict, Like, oh no, even though I smoke weed every single day and vape every single day and drink 5-6 beers every day after work, I'm not a drug addict. I'm not addicted. I only do crack once a week. Like, if someone just keeps saying that to me over and over, am I really gonna put the energy into trying to convince them that they're not a drug addict? No, it's like, why? It's like, all right, yeah, whatever, man. Like, there were like, what? It wouldn't even be fun. It would not. It would not even be a fun conversation. I don't think. Like they're like scratching their arms and stuff, and like, I'm not a drug addict. I'm not a drug addict. Just give me my vape, and then I'll be okay. Just give me my Jesus. Just give me my Jesus. Don't threaten my beliefs, please. Okay, all right. That's that. I'm gonna stop now. Because I mean, it really is not. Because like I don't want to say the word friends, but I have people that I knew that I grew up with that were very religious, and I don't know. It's not really particularly fun to take a sledgehammer to their whole belief system. You know, I don't particularly enjoy that. And of course, like whenever you start doing that, you really start pressing in and asking them why they believe what they believe. I mean, it gets very, very emotional, very, very fast. Like when we're talking about religious people here. But whenever you do that with like people who are just normal, that's not going to really happen. You know, you're not going to have like. Generally, I don't think you're going to have a bunch of emotion come up because the non-religious person that you're talking to is just going to look at you like, what? Because it's basically impossible to get a normal, healthy person to convert to a religion. The only way you could get something like the only way you can get someone to convert from non-religion to religion is if they've just had a horrible fucking life. That's really it. And a horrible fucking life that they haven't recovered from. And then, you know, some religious person swoops in and takes advantage of them, you know, at their weak point. They take advantage of that weak point to convert them to their religion. And I think that's probably where a lot of religious people come from. Because a whole bunch of poor people just happen to be really religious. Like all the poor people are religious, I swear. And it's because being poor fucking sucks. Being broke sucks. And religion is a way for people to cope. But back to Wretched Radio. Yeah, knowing who my dad was, because I don't talk to him anymore. So I don't know who he is now. I don't know if he's alive. But knowing who my dad was, you know, he was a chronic loser. He was just a loser in every fucking way possible. Like, even when he was succeeding in life, somehow in his mind he was losing because he'd just been conditioned to believe that he was less than everybody else by his parents, which is kind of sad. It is sad. But like when you've been losing for so long, it becomes familiar, it becomes comfortable. So you want to have a doctrine and a theology that validates your losing. Like, and that's what Christianity does. Like it really does. Like the real hard-hitting Christianity, not the people who just. No, I'm not talking about like cultural Christians who just put a Bible verse in their bio, but I'm talking about the people that are like really into it. Like it feels good. Ask me how I know, because it essentially validates you being a loser instead of getting you out of that mindset. It just validates that, yeah, it's okay to be a loser. Eventually one day, after you die, everything is going to be okay. Which is fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy to believe that. Yeah, after I die, everything is going to be okay. That's fucking insane. That's fucking an insane thing to believe. Yeah, one day when this guy who died 2,000 years ago, one day he's going to, even though he died 2,000 years ago, he's going to come down from the sky and then he's going to fix everything. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, this book said that that's what happens. We're talking about... Oh, yeah, you're talking about fiction. Yeah. Because this book that I just read yesterday, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, it said that there's these kids at the school that learn how to do spells that make them invisible. You're talking about like that kind of thing, right? Oh, no, you actually believe that someone is going to come down from the sky and fix your emotional trauma? Or come down and give you money? Or come down and give you like a new house that's big, like a mansion? You think they're going to come down and give you a house? Are you fucking schizophrenic? Are you crazy? And the answer is yes. And so the answer to like, I don't think all people that are crazy I don't think they're all too far gone. But I really, what I know is not the answer is validating crazy people. Like when someone is schizophrenic, if you actually believed that there was a way to get them out of their schizophrenia, you would not tell them, oh yeah, there is a person standing on your ceiling right now looking at you. You wouldn't do that. Like if you actually wanted them to get better, you would slowly start pushing them away from their delusions, But that doesn't happen in religion. Like you just it glorifies people for being losers. That's what it does, okay? And I know because I was a loser for my whole life pretty much. It's like, oh, if you're humble and you're meek and you always just do what you're told, eventually after you die, you're going to be like a billionaire or something. Yeah, if you ever get hit, just turn the cheek because God's going to take care of it someday. I don't know when that's going to happen. It could be like 400 fucking thousand years from now. But eventually God is going to take care of you. So just keep letting yourself, get hit and whatever. Turn the other cheek. That's what Jesus would do, right? Love your enemies. If people are shitting on you and bullying you, you should like them. You should really enjoy it. You should just really like them and want them to have everything in life. That is fucking crazy. No, if people are bullying you, you should hate them. Yeah, that would be the normal, rational thing to do. And people like Christians will be like, oh yeah, that would be the sinful human thing to do. You're fucking crazy. No, when people are taking advantage of you, they are in fact your enemies, and it's okay to acknowledge that. Not everyone in life is your friend, and if you try to make everyone in life your friend, you're going to get taken advantage of because you're not going to like everybody, and that's okay. That's okay. And this is scary for people that are super religious because it means that, oh, I actually don't have to like everybody? Well then, like I don't have to love the people that have been wronging me my whole life? Because for them, that's probably their parents. Like their parents have probably actually been horrible parents their whole life. Maybe not through blatant abuse, but definitely through neglect. And so, realizing that you actually don't have to love everybody, realizing that you actually don't have to be friends with everybody, realizing that you actually are going to have enemies in life, that might actually mean that your parents are your enemies. Because that was the truth for me. My parents were my enemies. My parents were literally the only people in life bringing me down. Like literally, if I would have just not had my parents in my life would have been great, honestly. It's like, it was so weird. Like, they would always be talking about how the world is so evil and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you guys are literally the only evil people in my entire life. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And then I realized I did know what they were talking about. Because their parents were evil. My grandparents were evil. They were selfish assholes that didn't take care of their kids. So of course my parents were going to think that the world was evil. Because, your parents are the people that shape your view of the world. Thankfully, I got out of there. I'm out of there. I'm free. I'm good. Jesus. Oh my God. But yeah, I know if I went back and I listened to an episode of Wretched Radio, I think it would be a little traumatizing and eye-opening because, yeah, it's just fucking insane. Just because these guys are like speaking confidently and articulately does not mean that they're correct. Just because Ray Comfort comes in and tells people they're a piece of shit in a soft, kind voice, "It does not mean that Ray Comfort is right. No, in fact, Ray Comfort is probably more of a piece of shit than Todd Friel, because Ray Comfort is not as forthcoming with how much of a piece of shit he is in the same way Todd Friel is." You know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, if your parents just never let you win an argument as a kid, you're probably like fiending for that feeling of being right once in your life. Like you just want to be right once in your life. And for you, maybe that means religion. That's probably what is going to do it for you. Religion, because it means, oh my God, I've been wrong all this time and now I can finally be right. I finally found the secret to life. Like I knew I was right all along. I knew it. Deep down, I just knew I was right. And they just become more and more delusional. It's okay to admit that your life is just shit. Because the thing is, like, if you just admit the reality that your life is shit, you're also going to be right. Like, you're right about that. You're probably right. Yeah, you're right. You don't have to do the whole religion thing. Just admit that your life is shit, okay? And it's because of your parents. It's not just like, oh, I wonder how my life got to be so shitty. I wonder how I got to feeling so fucking horrible for my entire life. It must be the devil. Oh, it must be evil spirits. No, it's your fucking parents. Because feeling like shit is not normal. Like, people who are good parents do not have kids that magically grow up to feel like shit. So the way you feel on an average daily basis is a pretty good indication of how your parents did. So like if you are, still like in contact with your parents and your buddies and all, and you just constantly feel like a piece of shit and you've always felt like that, I'm sorry, but your parents didn't do their job. They are the reason that your life is shit. Not because everybody is a sinner. Not because everyone is negatively influenced by the devil. Because there are people out there who actually are great parents and did a great job of raising their children and never had to involve religion to do a good job. But hating your parents and leaving them and never talking to them again, it does go against some of your basic instincts at first. But I mean, hopefully you actually like care about yourself enough to not want to surround yourself with people who are unhealthy emotionally. Even if they're your parents, it doesn't matter. They don't get a free pass. If anything, they should get the least amount of slack because they've had, your entire life to figure out how to best treat you. Like, they should have the best relationship with you because they've spent so much time with you. They should know you better than anyone else. But for a lot of people, that's just not the case because their parents just treat them more like pets or property or furniture more than they treat them like an actual person. But yeah, like, I remember oh, fuck, it makes me sick. I remember in high school, because I had been so indoctrinated, I would go around to people and give them the good person test. Like, just like random kids at my high school. Or we would go to a college campus and do it. And basically, I had to make sure that I got the exact answers. You have to admit that you're a sinner because you've stolen. You have to admit it. You have to admit that you're a filthy sinner. It's so gross that I got indoctrinated into being like that by my parents. It's just gross. Because people are not wretched. People are not filthy sinners. Like, if that's what you believe, that's more indicative of the environment that you grew up in Because that's not how everybody is. There are lots of people out there who are genuinely good people. Like, think about all the things in life that you legitimately enjoy. Like, I don't know. I liked the show Arthur as a kid. Like, Arthur is such a wholesome show. Like, the people who made that show are in fact good people. They're not like evil. Like, think about the people who create guitars and pianos. Like, you're telling me that these people are secretly evil? The people who create cures to diseases, you're telling me these people are secretly evil? Like, what? No. No. Those people out there are like just normal people. And if you... Yeah, I keep repeating myself, but if you think that the world is just horrible, you know who was responsible for shaping your worldview? Your parents and your family. So if that is the worldview that you came away with after being raised, then you have bad parents. You have a bad family, okay? But I just need you to know that not everybody is like that. Like, you are not. You aren't even necessarily like that. But it's just so twisted that there's people like Todd Friel who are just so addicted to their religion that they just have to go around convincing everyone that they're right. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess you can admit that I guess you can believe that I'm wrong, you know, you can just continue on your merry way, but have fun in hell, you know? So it's like, when you're religious like that, there's really no way you can ever be wrong. Because, you know, the people that agree with you, well, good, you're going to see them in heaven. People who don't agree with you, oh, okay, well, you know, they're just sinners going to hell, you know. It really sucks that they really just can't see that I'm right. They just can't see that Jesus is the one true way. You know, but what they're really saying is, oh, they just can't see that I'm right. It's just a very shitty spiritual way to say that. Like, just because someone is spiritual does not mean that they're okay. In fact, it probably means that they're not okay. Like, people who have actually had really good lives, they're not spiritual. They don't have to believe in these mystical forces that are somehow going to make their life great in the future. They don't have to manifest, like, with these mantras and these bowls and whatever, because their life is just already good. Like, the only reason you need to believe in something spiritual or in an afterlife or something is if your life is complete shit. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Like, do you think that people who have just really great families, people who have good jobs, people who have rights, people who have money, do you think they just lay in bed like, oh God, please save me, oh, I can't wait till heaven, you know, we need an afterlife, oh, I'm such a sinner? No, that is only something you do if you have a shitty life. So the answer is, if that is you, you know, it's okay to admit that. If you're that person with a shitty life, the answer is not religion, okay? Because the answer is not to continue just coping with your shitty life. The answer is to fucking change your life and get out of your shitty situation and make a change at all costs. Because you don't ever get to live this life again. You don't ever get to live again. Like, go fucking look at the grasshopper in your yard whenever it dies. It doesn't resurrect or anything. Its soul doesn't leave its body and go into grasshopper heaven. No, none of that happens. That is all ridiculous. Like, if you could, like, listen into the brains of grasshoppers and you heard them saying to themselves and to each other, oh, one day things will be great. We're going to go to a grasshopper heaven where we're going to have our grasshopper mansions and there's not going to be any birds to eat us. You'd be like, damn, that sucks. That's so sad that they believe that. You would think that was crazy. Because you know that that's bullshit. And it's the same thing with human heaven. That's not real. Like, when people say, oh, their dog is going to heaven, you know, deep down they know that that's not true. They're just saying it to make themselves feel better. But I think if you really dig a little bit deeper, you'd realize that it actually doesn't really make you feel better. You're just scared of pain. Because because you just had too much pain in your life to bear and you don't want any more of it, which is pretty understandable, I think. But it doesn't mean that lying to yourself is the answer. But that's what religion is and all that shit. So that's just what I guess I've just come to remember and I've come to realize about retarded, wretched radio. I mean, but, as an actually... I'm not even going to say that I'm completely emotionally healthy yet because I have a lot of healing to do. I'm not going to lie. But I think someone who is an emotionally healthy person, if they were to listen to Wretched Radio, I think it would be sad. Because I'm getting to a point, where my anger about my childhood is starting to subside a little bit. And it's just, I just feel sad that there's people out there like my parents. Like, I'm not going to go back to fix my parents, because that's not my job. But it's just sad that they exist the way that they do, And I think someone who's emotionally healthy and listens to Wretched Radio, they feel the same way. Because it's like, how have you come to believe that you are a wretched person? That is so sad. Like, what did your parents tell you? What did your parents do to you to make you believe that you're a deeply horrible person that needs a superhero to come and save you? Because that's what Jesus is. He's a superhero for adults. Why do you feel like you need Superman to come and save you? Because you feel like just such a piece of shit. Like, that's gotta be... I mean, I know how that feels. That is a horrible feeling. And the only way that happens is if your parents just didn't love you. If your parents didn't give you attention. Your parents didn't hug you and kiss you. They didn't do those things in the way that you wanted them to do. The way that you needed them to do. Because, like it or not, kids do need attention. Yeah, they do need attention. They are in fact needy because they are in fact a child. Yeah, they are needy. That is part of being who they are in their life. But I don't want to go back and listen to retarded, wretched radio again, but I think if I did, I would just feel sad. That's how I'm starting to feel for religious people as well, because like no healthy person, no healthy kid grows up to be religious. That's like if you were to be a free person and then you just go back to slavery. It would be like if you set a horse free to go run with his friends in the pasture, and then it decided, no, actually, I do want to go back to being a racehorse. I don't know, maybe racehorses get treated well, but you know what I mean. Like, no healthy person is going to choose slavery and captivity over freedom. So if someone is, in fact, choosing captivity and slavery, which is what religion is, they're not a healthy person. If you're actually a healthy person, you're not going to have to constantly remind yourself, oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, otherwise I'm going to go to hell. Like, you don't have to do that when you're actually a healthy, normal person. You just don't do shitty things because you don't want to. It doesn't cross your mind. You don't have to remind yourself not to do it, otherwise you go to hell. You don't have to do that. You can just be normal. So if you are one of those people who feels like they have to constantly remind themselves, oh, don't break this commandment, don't break this commandment, I'm a wretched sinner, I'm going to go to hell. It's probably because your parents treated you like you were a bad kid. Your parents probably treated you like they were having to constantly prevent you from getting worse. When in fact, kids are like basically perfect when they come out of the womb. What happens to them after that is the fault of the parents, pretty much. Because, like, no kid is just born, like a serial killer or a rapist. That shit only happens if the parents just don't do their jobs. So, if you feel like shitty inside, if you feel like a criminal like inside, probably because you were treated like a criminal by your parents. They probably treated you like you were a piece of shit when you were a kid, so you just have come to believe that. And now you need someone to kind of validate you and tell you, yeah, you are a piece of shit. Which is what Christianity does for you. It says, yeah, you are a piece of shit. Let me come and save you. When in reality, what you need to say is, no, I'm not a piece of shit. Actually, my parents were pieces of shit for treating me the way that they did and making me believe what I believe now. I'm actually I'm not a piece of shit. They just conditioned me to feel this way because they are sick people. Because they're kind of evil. They're neglectful people that don't care about kids. And that's not my fault. I actually am probably just a normal person who was just raised by bad people, And maybe I have made some bad decisions that have hurt other people, but I don't have to keep doing that. That doesn't have to be who I am as a person. I don't have to constantly be telling myself that I'm not a piece of shit, I'm not a piece of shit. Because I'm just not. I'm not. I don't need to remind myself of that anymore because that's just not something that I am. Like, I don't have to go around reminding myself that I'm not a locomotive train because I'm just not. I can just know that I'm not a train because I'm not a train. I don't have to remind myself, like, I am actually a good person. Like, I don't see... I just don't see how convincing... Like, if someone genuinely is a bad person, I don't see how telling them they're a bad person is really going to be beneficial in the long run. Like, you can tell them, yeah, you've made some really bad decisions that have hurt a lot of people. But you don't have to keep doing this. You don't actually have to believe that you're a bad person. Like, do you think people who believe that they're bad people generally act and behave better than people who believe that they're good people? Because that wouldn't make any sense to me. Like, people who believe they're good people, I think they probably actually do, in fact, do good things. Whereas people who deeply inside feel and believe like they're bad, their actions are going to match that. So you shouldn't be trying to convince someone that they're bad. You should be trying to convince someone that they're actually good. Remind them of how they're actually a good person and how they can do more of that. Like, only a sick person would try to tell other people that they're bad. Like, I can understand telling someone that what they're doing is bad. You don't have to tell them that they're bad altogether. Like, you're not stuck just being a bad person forever. What is the point in believing that?